We had 18 months to develop a car. So
hello everyone and welcome to another incredible interview. So this week I would like to introduce you to a professional with over a decade of very diverse industry experience in finances, corporate development and strategy. Mr. Anastasios Kapeles has extensive experience in shipping, financial and mergers and acquisition analysis for Inchcape Shipping Services. He has also served as a corporate development, mergers and acquisition manager for V.Group, and he was the private equity and mergers and acquisition strategy manager for Accenture. He's currently the vice president for advisory and maritime services for Société Générale corporate and investment banking in London, UK. Now, this interview aims to offer prospective financial analysts the complete perspective of what it takes to successfully climb, in your own terms, the corporate ladder within a financial-based firm, plus how to strategize to gain increased responsibility and ensure successfully navigate your career basically in a very complex and competitive industry. Mr. Kapeles also offers invaluable insights into the interviewing process, structure, and basically requirements for a financial-based firm so that you, the viewer, completely understand what is exactly required from you when applying for an early, intermediate, or even senior role within a financial-based firm. I want to sincerely thank him for offering his valuable time and expertise, for reflecting upon his journey to educate me and you guys so that you can make more educated decisions when entering strategy, corporate development, or a financial-based firm. Tassos, I want to thank you for being here. Let's do another round of this. Glad to be here with you. So, a question I'm asking all the professionals that I interview, which I believe is critical, is your point of entrance into the industry. So, as everyone, when you were young, I assume that you had basically a gun and you were aiming maybe all over the place. Maybe you were more precise. It depends upon you. You will tell me. I want to understand how you entered the industry, why you entered a specific industry, and what was your vision when you were young, like after graduating from the university?
Yeah, I see. So, very good question because it doesn't have a specific answer. So when I basically finished school in Athens and I started university for a business administration degree, I didn't have a very good idea of where I wanted to be. I started working also in parallel with my studies in hospitality sector, but my dad and some other members of my family were into the shipping industry in different positions in general. So I always had, an idea of what's going on. While I was close to finishing my bachelor's degree, then I realized through discussions with friends that have been already in the industry, with my dad and other professionals, that it's a sector that it has always existed and will always exist in Athens, first of all, in Greece in general. It's the backbone of the country, let's say. So let's explore this a little bit further. And the way that I started to exploring this is by, first of all, trying and get into one of the shipping companies in Athens and doing something like a practice rotation in different departments while I was studying to get a little bit of experience. And after that, everything I think took the rightful path. I started exploring what can I do in the industry. I saw that the operational roles or the engineering roles, not really for me because I have zero background in either. I decided to do a commercial trip with one of the vessels for a few months to see the experience, and then I said, okay, you know what? It's something that you can really see, you can really touch. It's super complicated. Let's try and see whether there is a part of this industry that doesn't have a ceiling for me. And then I decided to basically try and find something in finance. And I did in Athens. I joined Piraeus Bank for a year as a trainee again to do shipping finance. I really, really liked it. And then I decided that I have to, enhance my skills further in understanding of the financial industry. And I came to London to do a master's degree in shipping finance and investments. And I'm here there since for the last 10 years. I changed a few jobs as of now. First of all, I started within the M&A and strategy part of a private equity backed group called V.Group. I had no idea about what M&A was when I graduated my master's degree, but then I learned on the job and I saw that basically you have to have an understanding of more or less everything of operational aspects, strategy aspects, financial aspects, some accounting aspects, investment aspects to be able to create an idea and then execute it and then bring the value that you need to your company, which I loved because it was not, a routine. It was not something that was a specific process every day. The smallest deal that I've done was the super most complicated. One of the biggest deals that I've done was most straightforward. And then I decided that this was the product for me. I took a break from the shipping industry for 2 years just to see what else going on around the world. So I joined Accenture and I did M&A strategy for 2 years for global corporations, non-shipping, oil and gas, telecommunications, NGOs, different type of projects. But then shipping won me back, and I decided basically to join Société Générale, which I'm currently part of on the Maritime Advisory team, which is a team with the widest remit of potential projects that we can get involved. So again, not a routine. I can go one day in the office or work from home and work with startups, the next day with a private equity fund, the next day with a ship owner, or the next day with another stakeholder of the maritime industry, the other day to try and create projects, the other day to support the buyer, support the seller. So it's something that allows me to put in place and to practice all of my previous experience, but also to learn a lot as well by collaborating with the other teams within the bank. And I'm super happy I made that decision because it's for me it's tremendous growth experience.
I'm glad you made an overview of your entire experience because we can see the point of reference in the beginning. So you had people close to you who were involved in the shipping industry. We mentioned also that Greece is a commercial magnate, basically. We're number one in the entire world as far as commercial shipping. So there was that reference point. You move on to a role, then we can see that it tapers off because you want to go out there and experience as a young professional. You want to see what else is out there. So you move on to business consulting in Accenture. You went to V.Group as well. You mentioned before that. You moved on to finance-based organization, Société Générale. What I want to ask is, so what exactly are the hard skills you need to survive in this industry? It's a very malleable industry, an industry that follows trends as well. Are the frameworks the same that you need to use?
So I'm gonna tell you about the kind of vertical that I have been currently in the last 9 years. So I'm not gonna talk about the operations and chartering positions that I had in shipping industry because it's different scales. But with regards to when you want to do M&A strategy, when you want to do finance, you really have to demonstrate both soft skills in the beginning, but also hard skills. On the soft skill side, you need to convince the people that on the other side of the table and basically interview you, but also the people that you are working every day that, you know what, whatever you give me to do, I'm going to do it. I know the process. I don't know the process. I'm going to find out. I'm going to Google. I'm going to study on my own. I'm going to deliver. You have to convince them that you have this I can do attitude. This is one of the most, even if you don't know the subject and if you don't know the industry very well, if people understand that, you know what, this guy or this lady is going to work as hard as it takes to deliver what we have to do, then they will trust you, even if you don't have the perfect financial modeling skills. But obviously, having the ability to work on Excel or other Microsoft products, to the ability to create, to have a basic, at least in the beginning, in the very beginning, a basic financial financial knowledge that you get from the university, right? And the most important, to be able to reflect during an interview that even if you don't know how to do something, at least you have the correct thought process. So you will think about different subjects and different areas surrounding what you have been asked to, and then you can probably, with arguments, come to a result. Maybe the result is wrong, but if they trust your way of thought and the way that you think in around solving a problem, then that's super important, especially for the business consulting part. When you're very, very junior, of course, you don't have I don't know, Olympic medals or something similar that a lot of companies ask from the very juniors. But you have to convince them that you have the mindset, you have the can-do ability, and you have the thought process required to come around everything.
What I want to also ask is, I can see the progress you had. So you've developed a mindset through a lot of companies you've worked for. I think the plague of our times, especially what I can see in my generation, which is a bit after yours, is a lot of people, they are going after the brand name. A lot of people are going after the too much responsibility they want to undertake as graduates and the money. Let's say that a young student goes directly for Société Générale, for instance. Are they going to be able to survive? What are the correct behaviors for them to survive and thrive in this environment? If they bypass
No.
everything.
They will definitely be able to survive because we have graduate schemes, we have trainee positions, and to be honest, I was very surprised about the culture that I found in Société Générale because the culture is very inclusive. People are looking after the other. When the trainees, at least in my team, and the analysts, the junior basically employees, are taking sometimes the same, responsibilities and they run projects as I do, so they engage a lot, they learn a lot, and of course we are next to them the whole time to ensure that they're learning and they're developing these aspects of themselves that we will need for them to have in order to be able, to grow the business more. So it's not just processing stuff in Excel and running models, which is part of the business and a part of the job, but it's also allowing them to think, okay, what is the story behind this project? If I'm tomorrow in front of the client and he asks me one question, how will I basically put together my answer to show them that there is a solution? So in all the, especially in the financial services worlds, also depending on which team you want to engage with, for example, investment banking, advisory, business consulting, you have to know that it's going to be a lot of work. In some companies, it's too much work, for example, which is most of the time of your day and nights. And, so there are some people that like it, or they're doing it for a few years for the experience, and then they have more doors open. But for the juniors in Accenture, for example, I had someone that it was a first job, and we discussed. We said, look, you might not like it, but this year is going to be the year that you will decide whether you want to do something similar or not for the rest of your life. So everything is an experience, right? Of course, when you apply for a job, you more or less should do the correct questions when joining and your research to see if it's going to be a 9 to 6, 9 to 7, 9 to 5, 9 to 9, 9 to more than 9, right? You don't get just a message saying, okay, come tomorrow to the bank to start working, and you go without knowing anything. But the right companies give you the tools and give you basically the guidance and training that you need to progress and grow within the business. Because also for the bank themselves, hiring someone and training them up is a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of passion that all of the team members are putting together.
So I assume you want to retain the people who you're investing in. There is no way you want these people to exit basically their role or the company.
Of course,
How?
if they're a good fit
Yeah.
culturally and a good fit in general, the expectations are met. You definitely want the best people to be around you because they make you better, and also you make sure that the quality of projects that you deliver is at the highest level.
You mentioned also that you wanted to go into a company that doesn't have any ceiling, and I assume you found that, especially in the role you're now. What are your thoughts about around people who are exiting the roles? Or what would make somebody exit, apart from the fact that, well, I want to go and experience other things?
Yeah, so it can be the culture within a business. If they feel that it's not respectful or not, others want to say, okay, I took every experience that I had to take within the financial services world, but you know what? I don't want to work in order to make my clients make money the whole time. I want to do something that is more to help the society or do something else, like a change of a sector. Um, it's different to every person, and every personality, the reasons of why someone want to exit. But being in a good brand name, because you mentioned the brand name in the beginning, being achieving taking a position in a good brand name at the beginning of your career, it's true that it opens you quite a few more doors going forwards because you have this experience in your background. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you have to go into a very big brand from the time that you graduate in order to achieve what you want to achieve. I didn't go into the biggest brand name when I graduated, and methodically understanding what I like, what I don't like, by changing path one time, changing path another time, doing the correct networking, supporting your CV with the skills that you want to show for your next step is key. So all the ways can be successful. It doesn't matter that it has to be a brand name in the beginning. All the ways can be successful. You have to make sure that you are proper and you are performing your best, and then you have to make a plan, because you need a plan at some point. When you graduate, okay, you don't have a plan, or before you graduate, you don't have a plan. But after some point, you start realizing, okay, I like this, I don't like that, so this is where I want to go, or this is what I want to try.
As far as networking, which you mentioned, you created a very nice string in my head. So you're leading teams right now. So you have expectations from your teams, and the teams you're leading have expectations from you. Do you have a framework in your mind that, well, this is the team I want to lead, this is the behaviors I want to see within my team to push me to help them?
Uh, so I'm going to talk about my team in general, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
example, in my team, we want to ensure that everybody feels respected, that everybody is able to speak up, ask questions. Everybody is basically kind of equal in terms of communication. We are a very, very lean team. I'm not saying that it's the same in all of the teams, right? But in my team, we want to ensure that the juniors feel empowered, the seniors feel comfortable to deliver a project, and that everybody is approachable and open for discussion, arguments, a lot of debates. If you have an idea and you think that my way is different, we should pursue another way of doing a specific project. We should sit down, argue together, understand which points from your arguments make sense, from which points from my arguments make sense, and then create something better together. We don't have the culture that, hierarchical culture, this is what I want you to do, just do it and process it, because they just don't learn as juniors. So the empowerment to the juniors, the open communications, and the respect between each other is the most common traits within my team, at least.
And as far as the dynamic element of the role, would you say there's different behaviors in different contexts. So basically, if you're in an M&A based team or investment banking based team, or now you're in capital advisory, does that dynamic change from team to team and company to company? I'm sure it does, but to what extent?
Well, for example, on the M&A teams, the pure investment banking advisory M&A teams, they have to achieve the maximum projects that they can do. So a client, most of the big banks charge a lot. So the client is expecting that you are there at any point in time when they pay a lot. The same with consulting. You are, in most of the cases, at least in the big consultancies, on the M&A projects advisory, kind of, 24/7 sometimes. It also depends on which part of the project you are at the beginning, the middle, or the delivery. But it definitely changes in different industries and different teams. It might also change within, service, which is not M&A advisory, but the team head wants to include a behavior that it's not very open, and it's not very inclusive, and it should be always standby, which unfortunately these do exist in the financial services industries, and especially in the high paid financial services companies. So it's a culture, at least in my company, is changing. So my team, like, now nobody has left for the last 2 years. People more are joining. So we want to also ensure that we go in the office and we are happy to see the people that we're working with. We just don't go to the office and say, okay, another day in the office. I would rather stay home and sleep and don't work at all.
Yes, there are absolutely these rumors. I've heard them as well, like especially in the investment banking or finance industry in general. They say it's the coldest world you can exist. You come in fast and dynamically, and you exit equally as fast, but burned out,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, exactly.
And so, if we talk about your personal growth and development, I'm not saying that you're after a specific position, because I believe this is a notion that a lot of people, I mean, I believe a lot of people have that. But from your journey, as I saw it, you're trying to develop breadth more, and you're trying to settle into a role that you love more than you're trying to hunt down a promotion. But if we solely focus on your development, how did you go about hunting the next position or promotion, basically? Did you just bring measurable results, over deliver, and then discuss this with your manager?
So, for example, when I was in V.Group and I joined as a graduate, then in 2-3 years, basically, we were a very small team, so I was quite visible in the organization as well, and we delivered a few M&A projects in the beginning. So naturally, it was for me to get promoted after a few years as a graduate. So I became a manager, and then after that, I was running my own projects. At some point, I saw that there were not so many more M&A that we could get engaged. So my learning curve had flattened, and sometimes it's also a timing of things that are happening within the organization. So we had the restructuring, etc. So it was time, I think, for me to change, but I wanted to remain within the M&A sector, but I wanted to get exposure with different type of industries at once. So for me, consulting was the natural next step, because I didn't want to go into investment banking. So I joined Accenture. Within Accenture, had my first year. I had very, very good feedback, and then somebody said, by the way, why don't you go forward for a promotion? And I said, okay, if you're telling me to do, and you're my senior and my manager, then I will do. So I had it as a target to ensure that whatever is required from the promotion committee to see from my achievements, running a project, delivering a project, being very close to the client, etc., had been achieved. So once this has been achieved, I got the promotion. And then after that, I said, okay, I learned a lot in Accenture, but it's not. I don't see myself as a full-time consultant for the rest of my life. So it was a very, very good school for me. I gave them a lot. They gave me even more. And now it's time for me to go and do something else. And I saw this opening in SocGen, where I joined as a senior VP. And, I've been there now a year and a half. I'm always asking what are the next steps for the promotions because I always want to know what is the growth path within a company. And then I align myself to ensure that, what needs to be done and to be seen from the promotion committee, I will have it. So for me now, I'm in a very good place with my role, to be honest. I'm also only a year and a half in the company, so I don't feel the urge to go specifically and speak only about promotion. I feel the urge of delivering what I want to do for myself to grow. And I know that this also, align with what people want to see in order to promote someone. So it's not just, bringing business or delivering a project. It's a holistic view of skills, achievements, qualitative and quantitative that needs to be done in order to get promoted. And for me, these are aligning like by coincidence with my personal growth plan. So eventually it will come.
You have a very deep understanding of the culture of the company. This is what I understand, which is, it is evident, it is natural, because you're a seasoned professional. What I want to ask as well is, what are your views on mentorship? So, did you have a mentor, first of all, from when you entered the industry up until now? Somebody to
Mhm.
use as a reference?
I was very, very close with my boss that I had in V.Group for 5 years. So we're discussing everything. We're just basically a team of two for a lot of years. So he was kind of my mentor as well. After that, to be honest, I didn't have someone that I was going to speak to, but I was reaching out to everybody that I thought could their way of thought could support, my next decision. If I want to go into consulting and see what consulting is, I would speak with, senior people within consulting industry that I knew from the previous experiences. If I wanted to see how is the investment banking, I will speak with the investment bankers. This is the way that I was basically trying to ensure that I have all the correct information about my next steps. But I didn't have someone that was, going to my default go-to for advice. I have two mentees now in the bank in general, and I quite love it because it's very good to to feel that you're supporting people that want to understand what they're doing in their careers, explain them the options they have, explain them what they do, what they shouldn't do, and then leave them to make their own decisions always. You just give them the facts and the information around what they want to achieve, and then you leave them on their own because it's their own decision.
Should it be desirable for, again, seasoned professionals to reach a point where they have to, I will use a strong word, have to transfer and transmit their knowledge to other people, young, specifically people who are entering their team? Or is it just like a preference that shouldn't really exist? It's up to the person. Should it be in the
It's
culture molded?
so it should first of all be in the culture of the mentee to to want to learn, because if there's someone that doesn't want to learn and just join the team, they will not care about your experiences. Say, okay, I'm here, I'm gonna get promoted in 5 years, six, I'm gonna get promoted again in another five, whatever, I have a job, that's it. But um what you should do as more senior is to try and bring this motivation out from the juniors in order to empower them to ask the correct questions. Otherwise, you're just, forcing your knowledge to someone that might not even need it. So it needs to come from the juniors, and you need to empower them and let them know that, any question, anything that you want to ask, I'm here to provide you with any answer that I can. But it has to be both ways. First of all, the person that it receives needs to have to want to learn more because they have a plan or they don't have a plan and they want to help you to help them create a plan. And on the same time, you enable them through discussions, for them to try and think about their future and what they want to do. It's a combination, I would say.
On that combination, I want to also add challenges. I want to go to something that is very well known among every single person. We all went through that, COVID. Okay. I just have to ask the question. I want to see how you went through that. So at that time, you were working in Accenture, right?
Yeah, basically, I started the week before COVID, so I spent 2 years in Accenture from home. I didn't go to the office. I went to one. So
Yeah.
I met a few of my colleagues. But yeah, sorry, continue with the question.
No worries. So a lot of processes were created. In my company, Rolls-Royce, they created this framework of leading hybrid teams, basically, and how you can liaise with your colleagues when you're working from home. This agile and bold culture. How did you go through that, basically, having zero contact with your colleagues? How difficult did it make your life, to put it simply?
Yeah. One of the good things is that, I spent a month in the office before I basically got locked in at our places. And then after that, the good thing that is being in Accenture was a technology consulting company, you have all the tools that you require to work remotely in any case. So, and the projects that we're working with quite global. So we had teams from all around the world, which I wouldn't see in any case, even if I go to the office. And we had quite a few calls arranged, for catch-ups, check-ins between, teams that you're doing the same projects, between team members that you're doing another project. So you're keeping it social through Teams. And to be honest, that was the only way. Now it depends also on the person, if they're comfortable at their place. Some people probably didn't have exactly the space that they required to work from home, but you couldn't do anything else. The offices were completely closed. So the frameworks that we had as a team was that, we had regular catch-ups because we're quite friends with each other as well. To say the bad things of a project, say the good things of a project. And also we're working quite a lot during the day. So to be honest, didn't have time for socializing after that.
It's a very weird dynamic. So you have to be part of a high functional team, but in order to be high functional, you have to basically isolate yourself and try to undertake your own tasks. And you're also in an industry now. If I move from Accenture, because your role focuses on maritime industries, that is a very high risk industry. If everybody knows the incident with the Evergreen, basically, so is that elevated? Do you have to put a lot of attention into managing risk in your industry when you are applying
Well,
investment strategies?
definitely, because shipping is a very volatile industry in general. But someone else's failure is someone else's opportunity. For example, with the Evergreen, what happened? Yes, the logistics verticals globally had slowed down, etc. But this affected, for example, the supply of the vessels available to fulfill the demand. And because of this bottleneck, the demand, the supply was far less than the demand, and this created all these amazing profits for the same companies, container shipping companies that basically by accident closed the Suez Canal. So there is always the uncertainty within the shipping industry. For example, quite a few of the verticals, for example, the gas carriers, after the Russia invasion in Ukraine, with gas and crude oil not being imported from Russia and sanctions, and everybody started buying from different sources that they needed vessels and not pipes. So for these assets, now they're like the money that they're making are crazy. So you cannot definitely foresee these incidents and these geopolitical risks for sure, but you have to take into consideration whether a specific investment is the right one for your client or not, for sure. It's quite volatile. That's why we like it. That's why it's not boring. But it's not only about the vessels, right? We do
Mhm.
port side corporates. We do investment projects that doesn't have to do with vessels, but have to do with funds within the maritime industry. So it's quite wide with definitely more risks than other industries. If you go and talk about maritime industry to private equity, they will say, sorry, it's too volatile, not for us. But we like it for that.
This is the nature of the company you're working with and your role. It's an extremely dynamic role. I think it is the best place for someone who is a high performance person who is. Would you say it is a role, the role you have now, it's full of like processes, or is it something where you can go and focus on different aspects, don't necessarily follow frameworks and processes?
No, it's being in a bank, a lot of processes that you have to ensure that you follow compliance, legal compliance first and foremost, because you're basically certified from the SEC and you have judicial responsibilities to your client. So there are a lot of processes which you have to manage on the side of being able to do your job. But you also have the opportunity within the team to go and explore any idea that you might have. But when it comes the moment for the execution, then is when you have to ensure that the processes are in place to be protected, to protect the bank and protect the client as well.
It's an ocean of knowledge, Tassos. I believe this is going to be invaluable knowledge for every student who is going to see this interview. I just wished when I was 18, 19, 20 years old that there would be somebody like you, interviewed by somebody like me, I don't know, sitting and explaining all these motions, especially for people from Greece where we come from. I want to thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much, George,
It means a lot to me, it means
for
a lot of
reaching out.
students. Yeah.